My journey through the West Country at last brings me to the water's edge. We're so lucky having so many beautiful rivers, and there's so much going on, if you know where to look. If you're a fisherman, well, you'll think you've died and gone to heaven.
Now this is the River Kennet, and any keen trout fisherman will tell you that this river, along with the River Test and the River Itchen in Hampshire, are known all over the world as the rivers where fly fishing was born. In the river here, it's the brown trout that's king, and everything is done to see that the river is in perfect condition. I mean, it's so clear, it's just stunning. I mean, for these fish to thrive, it's important that the insect life have a perfect place to live, and that's beneath the water as well as above it. What do they say? Look after the fly life and the rest will follow, all the way up the food chain. Laid out on a slab in your supermarket. All this doesn't just happen, of course, and the person who's got the envious task of working and living in this beautiful place is the Riverkeeper. And on this stretch of the Kennet, that's John Hounslow. Now, John has been Riverkeeper here for nearly 25 years, and with any luck, he'll be waiting for us down there. I hope.
There's something magical about a chalk stream, so fresh and full of life, especially on a day like today. It must be terrific to work in such a place.
Hi, John.
Hello, Derek.
Well, it's good to see you. What's going on? What are you doing?
Just a bit of weed cutting, Derek.
So, what, you do this every day?
Yes, most days during the summer. Just cutting some fishing holes out for the fishermen.
But not during the winter.
No, not during the winter. Thankfully, we don't get any weed growth during the winter.
That's a good thing. So is it the season now? I mean, they started fishing, have they?
Yes, we started fishing 1st of May until the 30th of September.
So tell me, what does a riverkeeper do exactly?
Well, it's a bit like gardening a river, really. Looking after the habitat, producing the best habitat for the fish species, also all the bird life, improving the margins, tree planting, tree felling, weed cutting, grass cutting, bridge building, and seeing to the fishermen if they need any assistance throughout the year.
I'm exhausted. What made you become a riverkeeper? You didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a riverkeeper.
No, I was always madly involved with fishing as a youngster, ever since I can remember. And I was born and brought up in Slough, which...
Slough?
Yeah, Slough, which hasn't got any nice chalk streams running through it, that's for sure. I moved down to Hampshire on my savings and managed to go and work at the Houghton Club, the famous Houghton Club on the River Test, for just about 9 months. But I wasn't employed by them, I just turned up and they allowed me to come down to try and learn the trade, because it's one of those jobs where you can't actually get a job until you're experienced.
What's so nice about being here on the Kennet?
Well, I think the Kennet, Test Itch and any of our southern chalk streams are special rivers in their own right. They're beautiful, pristine, clear waterways, lots of aquatic life, and just a wonderful environment to work in. Well, the major problems I think a lot of our rivers are suffering from is the abstraction which goes on in the river valleys. And on certain rivers unfortunately, I think they've gone too far.
Who's doing all this and who's abstracting?
It's water companies which have to provide water in the taps of local towns, and you have local towns which are growing all the time and development's always going on, so more water's needed.
Sure.
And so water's abstracted from underground before it actually gets to the river, which depletes the natural flow in the river. And then you have the second influence to the condition of the river, which is the sewerage inputs which come out of the towns. If we store and harvest our water better, we needn't have so much abstraction from these catchments.
No. So all the fish in here are wild, are they?
No, not all the fish, Derek. Most of the fish I'd like to think are wild. But we have to stock the river for the anglers.
So where are the stock ponds? Where do you keep them?
Well, I've got them a bit further up the river where I rear the fish.
Oh, right. Can we go and... how many are in there today?
About 10,000 at the moment. So
10,000?
Yeah, about 10. That's a small...
Can we go and
stock
see
one.
them?
Yeah, sure, we can go and...
Right, let's go.
10,000, eh? With that many fish, it's a wonder there's any room for the ducks.
How many fish we got in here then?
There's approximately 3,000 in there.
3,000. How old are they?
Those are about a year, 14 months old.
It's lunchtime now, is it? You're going to chuck some food in?
Yeah, it's going to give these lunchtime feed now. They get fed 3 times a day.
Yeah. What is that stuff?
Well, this is specially prepared trout pellets.
Yeah.
For the right size for the fish. Big fish get big pellets and the small fish get small pellets.
Makes
so
sense.
these are being fed now.
Whee! Look at that. It's like Esther Williams. Do you remember Esther Williams? You don't, you? No. She's a very famous swimming star, she was.
All right.
Eh?
I didn't know that.
That's fantastic. Now, is it possible to net a couple and I can take a look?
Well, we can go to a big fish yard and see if we can catch them up in a net.
Good idea.
Have a try?
Yeah, great. Oh, these are really big, Johnny. Can you catch me one of those? I see you're all dressed up.
Yes, well, I'll have to get in the pond, Derek, to catch some of those up because that's the way I have to do it.
In you go, in you go.
I have to have these nets over the ponds to stop the herons getting to the fish.
Oh, I see.
And I'll chase them round and crowd them up.
You're getting them all into one spot. Hey, they look fantastic. They're huge, John.
Yep, well there they are.
Hey.
On average, I expect they're 2 to 3 pound in weight each. So these are all ready to go out to be stocked into rivers for fishing for.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll have that middle one for lunch.
I'm afraid you'll have to buy it.
Oh, really? Spoil sport. There we go. Wish I had a spear. Getting hungry.
God, what a beautiful day. Sun for a change. It reminds me of those idyllic, long, hot summers that I used to enjoy when I was a boy. They seem to go on forever. We were always out and about, playing cowboys and Indians and Robin Hood. I was always Robin Hood. We made bows and arrows. I remember a friend of mine called Johnny Wheeler, known as Killer. And I got my bow and I fired this arrow at him through a hedge. And there was a crack and he came out and half his front tooth had gone missing. And when he grew up in adulthood, he still had that broken tooth. Dear old Johnny, known as Killer.
Beautiful, isn't it? There's something very special about rivers and streams. They always seem to be unstoppable. I've just been reading this poem by Tennyson. It's called The Brook. I think you'll like it. I come from haunts of coot and hern. I make a sudden sally and sparkle out among the fern to bicker down a valley. I wind about and in and out with here a blossom sailing, and here and there a lusty trout, and here and there a grayling, till last by Philip's farm I flow to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Well, here I am on a bridge overlooking a river, but this is a very special river because a little bird has told me that otters are coming back into this area, and they're coming back into this very river. So I've arranged to meet someone very special who knows all about otters, but that's not for another hour, so I think I'll just stay here and do what I've been doing, which is, well, nothing. Tell you what, we'll play poo sticks. Right, that's mine. That's yours. Don't go away. Hey, that's mine. I've won. Yes!
So, what about these otters then?
Well, I know the otter is a nocturnal creature and only comes out when it's dark, but in the daylight, what sign, what are you looking for, and how can you tell that there have been otters in the river and walking about?
Well, as the otter's a large predatory animal. It needs a lot of river for its feeding territory, so it guards it by putting its scent about, by leaving its droppings in prominent places. And if you look, you'll find that there's one somewhere on this bend because they cut the corner at this particular bend and leave a spraint mark to show other otters that they should keep away. So if we look about, there'll be a black thing somewhere, but that is sheep droppings, so that doesn't count. But somewhere it will have crossed the bend. More sheep. And there we are. That is an otter spraint put there last night by an otter.
So what, the otter would come up here and why would he leave it?
It's a warning sign. Being a large predatory animal, it needs a lot of territory to fish in, and as it goes up and down its river, it leaves these rather smelly little objects on the riverbank to warn off the opposition and to tell them that it's private fishing.
See, and the opposition being...
other otters that might eat his fish.
Oh.
So he wants a bit of river pretty well exclusively to himself.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of river, about 8 miles or more.
So up here and right across there and...
He's taking a shortcut across the bend because he's in a hurry to get up to the end of his territory, make sure there's no poaching going on from the opposition.
And they travel on their own, do they? They don't travel
Solitary animals, they don't pair up with the females, they just use them for a week and then on they go. Sailors in a way.
Yes,
and that's how they guard their territory. So we can find that, and therefore we can sort of map out where the otters are and what's
It's very
happening.
small, that, isn't it? Is it
It's not a visual signal, it's a scent signal.
oh, I
But
see.
that's rather a smelly object, as you'll see. And if we pick it up like that, not an unpleasant smell, I always think.
Oh, yes. What does that remind me of? Kind of dead leaves.
I'd never thought of dead leaves before. I always say it's like the smell of the fishmonger's hand, because I think it's sort of the slime off the fish.
Oh, right.
I always think
So
the wet
that-
fish shop's rather a nice smell, and this is very largely made of fish, so...
Fish.
But there is a strong scent of otter in there somehow, because they can tell each other apart by smelling it. So they get
see.
otter, we get fish.
Where are the chips?
No chips. Definitely not with this. One of my favourite smells.
Is it?
Yes. Oh, well, because it reminds me that we've at last got some otters back on our rivers.
Oh, I see,
Yes, very
of course.
important.
So this is not the only sign. Are there others?
We could find some footmarks, and there's a probable place a quarter of a mile further down. We could go and have a look if you like.
Let's go. You were a bit of a fisherman, is that right?
Oh yes, a lot of trout in this river give me a lot of fun trying to catch them.
Is that the brown trout?
Brown trout, yes.
Because this morning I was at the River Kennet with the Riverkeeper, and I saw some enormous trout. I mean,
Oh, well, they would be bigger and better than ours, because that's the chalk streams, isn't it?
yes, that's right.
We don't have those.
Now tell me that when the two otters finally catch up with each other, they have a real go, do they?
They fight, and they fight very dirty, go underneath each other and try to bite the bathing trunks off.
Really?
And cause a lot of damage.
Does that hurt?
Well, yes, it kills them actually.
Don't. So it's up here then, the...
Up here, the mud bank that I usually look at. And in fact, we have got here
yes.
an otter footmark, if you look.
That's terrific.
He's on up here
Another one.
to put his spraint there and then to turn around and come out again. Those little dents in the mud, they may not look like anything to you, just look like some holes in the mud, but to me they remind me of the day that I first found footmarks after the otters had been absent from this river for 12 years. There were no otters at all after the pesticides killed the population off. And then one day I came along and found 2 sets of footmarks.
A pretty emotional moment for you here.
A very emotional moment. Well, it still is an emotional moment. I mean, the fact that Britain's largest predatory animal walked up that mud bank last night and left a signal which is to keep any rivals off, and then carried on about his business in the river that I've been trying to keep the health of for so many years. It's exciting to me.
I wish I could see one.
It'll almost certainly come back for 5 minutes in the next week. So if you're prepared to stay here for a week, you'll almost certainly see one. But it might be just a glimpse in the dark.
You speak with such a passion about them. What is it about otters that really excites you? Tell me.
They symbolise something. If we ever lose them from this country will have lost more than an animal. It will have lost something which is an important attribute of mine, I think.
Well, I wish you luck. I mean, you obviously love the otter, don't you?
Oh, indeed. Yes, very important to me.
Have you ever wondered who it is who takes the lovely pictures for the wildlife magazines? No, me neither. But I'm about to find out.
When I build a hide like this, we leave this one in situ. This one might be here for weeks.
Oh, it just stays here, does it?
Yes, it stays here all the time. And then I've got the other ones that I leave in situ as well.
Yeah. So nobody's going to come down and nick it then?
Well, I hope not.
When are you set up to photograph?
Well, this hide's been here for quite a while now. And earlier this year I came down and I saw there were coots here, moorhens and little grebes. And they come along and they use this little pond, which is actually
they all nest
ideal.
around the pond then?
Yes, they will. They'll nest on the pond margins. They're very secretive and they spend a lot of time in the rushes.
Yeah.
And they'll sneak out on the edges, and particularly when they've got small chicks, they keep them in among the rushes because of the predators, crows, and mostly crows around here.
We wouldn't frighten them just sitting here, would we? Or?
No, we wouldn't, because the pond is big enough just for them to be able to sneak off around the corners, and as soon as they're sort of out of our view, a lot of times with birds it's out of sight and out of mind.
Yeah.
And of course this is why we use a hide.
Yeah.
So you really walk up in the open to your hide, and in you go. And most birds are quite happy with that.
Yeah.
And as soon as you're in and things are quietened down, within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, they've forgotten about you and they're back to their normal activity.
Do you have favourite birds that you like to photograph?
Yes, I do. I really do love little grebes.
Yeah. And you get those here?
Yes, we've got little grebes here, yes.
So you come down here a lot then, don't you?
Yes, I do, yes. And then they like these little ponds like this, or the smaller waters for nesting on.
Is it Do you get lonely down here in your hide?
No, I don't. It's one of the reasons why I do it, because I like being on my own. I'm not a recluse, but if I want company, I can seek it.
But so do you go along and photograph the birds in boxes?
No, I don't. I never do them actually in the boxes. They're a lot more interesting, really, when the birds are carrying insects in their beaks, and invariably when they go to their nest, they'll settle on a favourite perch before actually going to the nest.
Yeah.
And by observation, you can work this out. And that's when you get the interesting shot.
You're stalking them, aren't you, really?
Oh, yes, you are.
Is this 30 years in the police force has helped you to stalk, hasn't it?
Yes, it probably has.
Somebody told me you were an ex-policeman, you see, so I know.
That's right, yes, yes. I'm much happier doing this now. I'm walking around with a tall hat.
You are, yes.
The camera itself, this is a single lens reflex. And of course what's nice with these, the single reflex, you can just change lenses and it comes away just like that. So you can change from a big lens like this, which is a 400mm 2.8 lens, and you can take pictures in pretty low light with this, which is just what you want for wildlife photography.
Well, this is my camera, Bill. It's not so impressive as yours. As you can see, look, that's much smaller.
Well, let's just have a look, Derek. Yeah, that's quite a nice little camera, and it's got a nice long lens on it. The sort of thing you can do with this camera that anybody could do in the winter when you're feeding birds in the garden, if you were to hang a nut basket in front of your a window downstairs, and then when the birds get used to coming to the nut basket, put some sort of a stick up in the garden, stick something down that they'll fly to and sit on the stick before they go to the nut basket. You've got the nice picture of the bird sitting on the stick before he goes to the nut basket.
It's a very good idea. Okay, well, I'll do that.
And you could take some possible pictures with a little camera.
Well, I'm going to have a go. I'm going to have a go. Well, now, hang on. I'll just take a photograph of you, shall I? Well, say cheese.
Cheese.
What a wonderful day it's been. I never did get my fish. I don't think he would have missed one, not out of 10,000. I wonder what time it is. Opening time, I hope.